Hey agents, and welcome to Shadow Gaming. This channel is focused on dedicated daily content for the Division 2. And I noticed a while back that about 92% of my viewers are not even subscribed, and this hurts my channel a lot. So please, if you enjoy the content, especially the daily targeted loot and what to farm for videos I upload every single morning, please subscribe to my channel. That way you can support my full-time YouTube channel. Thank you. So I am getting sick of this game. It has become so boring I can barely bring myself to play it anymore. And for the purpose of clarity, I do want to let you know when I speak about NPCs and difficulty, I am always talking about the fun factor of the game, while keeping it challenging for more veteran players or agents looking for a difficulty spike. While speaking about difficulty as well, I am also talking about the loot system and its time versus effort, where right now, the time is not equal to the reward. Anyways, I log in almost every day and try to have fun, but it barely ever works. Especially for a solo player, this game is extremely punishing, unless you want to actually lower the difficulty to hard or maybe challenging, but it's not rewarding enough to play except for the fun game mechanic. I believe a lot more agents are getting burnt out on this game as well. The leagues are helping somewhat, and same with the global events, but please let me know in the comment section below if this is even something you activate. Or do you just run the game normally? I know I do, until I am as bored as I am now. I just think that massive studios spent too long focusing on how to make this game more grindy, and not enough time focusing on how to make this game more fun. Most agents will tell you that they do not feel powerful in this game, and I am one of those gamers that likes to be rewarded with a lot of power in my character once I have grinded the game out a lot, but this is taking too long to implement. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the challenge the game brings, but this always ties directly to the loot system and how in shambles it really is. If you want the game to be balanced correctly, it has to work in two ways or not at all. First off, make the agent feel more powerful, with less rewarding loot drops, but we are having more fun being powerful and plowing through content to where we don't care that much that the loot being dropped isn't as god rolled or close to it. And when we finally can upgrade our loot, we have already had a pretty great time farming, so it is worth it in my opinion. Second, keep it challenging, but give us the reward we worked so hard for. If I solo a heroic mission, I need loot drops that increase my build. I need god rolls or close to it. No purples, and this should have never been in the game ever. Purples need to get out of the vendors and the loot pool after level 40. In this case, we are consistently recalibrating and leveling up while playing harder content and being rewarded properly for it. Make loot drops much more rare, but when they drop, you know you are picking up something good. Either way, these two types of power and difficulty, whichever you choose or like, works in the favor of us having fun and progressing in the game for all of our hard work and effort. I do hope this is addressed more often and is fixed at some point. They need to start on the loot system as soon as possible. And I am happy they are getting the NPCs to the point of it being playable for fun and challenge, but difficulty cannot be artificially fluffed to where the health pools and damage output are just increased with numbers. This does not make the game more fun. Bullet sponginess in this game cannot be happening anymore, period. For difficulty, I am looking at more elites. I am looking at more purples. I am looking at more damage output. More mechanics that make the progression of the mission, control point, or whatever we are playing more difficult without this huge inflated amount of health that renders the game unfun to play. No one wants to empty this many bullets into an NPC, all the while constantly hiding in cover because the damage output is so high we cannot survive, even with 1.9 million armor, out in the open for more than a few seconds. We are going to finish all the missions and control points pretty fast in this game, even for casual players. So no need to make it so difficult a lot of casual players cannot even progress through all the content because this is a looter shooter. The point is to replay everything over and over. We knew that buying this game, that we would replay content over and over, but we expected the loot rewards to be fair in this regard, and the fun factor to be way higher. Moving on, the build diversity in this game is not in a good shape right now. This is mostly because of the difficulty and what actually makes a difference in solo or group play. If I have an all-red DPS build, that's great. It is the most popular, I believe, because it is the meta, and it is not very hard to recreate. But because of the M1A being so powerful compared to your other options, and because the developers refuse to bring the other weapons up to par with the likes of the M1A, this will stay a must-have in your inventory or equipped weapon slot until these buffs happen. We have status effect builds, shield builds, DPS builds, and so on. So DPS, healer, tank, etc. But for healer, this is support only and cannot be done solo. Same with status effect builds. And status effect builds came into such a high demand because of how the NPCs act. They are supremely fast in running and jumping, dodging, rolling, and so forth. So we need a build that slows down combat and stops them from shredding us so quickly. And that is great, but back to the loot system. Am I being properly rewarded for this time at the completion of the activity? We still need more build diversity, especially with skill damage and DPS builds. Skill damage builds are great and all, and sometimes but you almost always have to run 2 skills. The main one is the artillery turret. Mathematically, it does the most damage, so not running it for skill damage is a bad move, except second best being the sniper turret. The other I would assume would be the seeker mine. For DPS builds, we need more SMGs, marksman's rifles, assault rifles, and pistols. If you run an SMG right now, you're almost certainly going to die. This game wants you almost constantly in cover and far away from the enemy, and this renders about half or more of the weapons in the game to be useless. I cannot run an SMG or shotgun or assault rifle besides the Eagle Bear and P416 because these are not viable or useful in-game on heroic or higher. The loot system right now is in complete shambles. We play heroic and legendary difficulties because we want good loot to drop, and this rarely ever happens. While RNG plays an enormous part of our experience, and some may have tremendous amounts of luck with this system, the majority do not. Why are we investing several hours or more a day into this game when we cannot even find a single piece of loot that complements our build, or can replace a piece you have already? Or a piece with god rolls on them besides maybe one. We can only recalibrate once, and this constricts us in terms of min-maxing our build so badly that they usually end up taking over 1,000 hours to have a min-maxed build, and that is only one build. Back in the end of the Division 1's life cycle, they finally gave us the tools to feel and be powerful, and this was through the classified gear sets, all 14 of them, and the optimization station. While some friends of mine like Gamey Daddy believes that these killed the game, I heavily but respectfully disagree with that opinion. To recalibrate all attributes on a gear piece or weapon, we needed 50 division tech and 250,000 credits. This was not an easy task to collect these materials and would take hundreds of hours of grinding to get these materials as well. Not only that, but we would roll once on the optimization station, and it was an RNG thing as well. So it did not always boost your stats very high, and sometimes barely at all. But it did boost all of your stats, so this made every roll worth it. So the endgame became finding division tech and credits, and classified gear sets. This would include picking up every single piece of loot that drops because selling them would give you the credits you needed. And I believe deconstructing a lot of them would yield you some division tech as well, instead of farming it exclusively in the dark zone. This needs to either be brought back in its entirety, or brought back with a heavier blockade on how fast you can min-max your build. But remember, to maximize all your attributes, you would first need to find the perfect piece to optimize, and this is done through RNG, which can take forever to even find this piece you need to fully optimize. You also needed a lot of materials through farming and playing the game for so long to even acquire these materials, so the grind was intense still. But we were farming for a goal in mind, which was maxing out our weapons and gear piece. I was hoping this would be what the SHD Keener's watch would do. Every point or level you got, you would be able to slowly but surely increase your gear attributes. But I do like increasing your stats better. We just need an optimization station or the ability to reroll one core attribute and one minor attribute. If you disagree, please explain in the comment section below and I will respond very quickly. I want to have a deep discussion about this optimization station implementation and why we should have or not have this in game already. Honestly, I was looking for it when it first launched and I reached level 30. It was nowhere to be found and I could not believe they removed this feature and was disappointed. I still play survival on Division 1 to this day, and there is good reason why I and many others still do. It was and still is an amazing game mode that made the game extremely replayable and took you away from the sometimes mind-numbing grind that we face daily. Why is there 0 game modes in the Division 2? Why is survival and last stand cut out for only conflict? Why I personally think is terrible even PvP. We desperately need game modes in this game to take away from the grind without having to switch to another game. Massive, we love this game. Don't make us go and play other games because you are lacking the content that made this game an easy to log in everyday game. Just adding survival would be amazing. I think this would be an absolute wonder to the game, so please get started on this. I hope to see survival back, or at least one game mode for PvE and or PP as well. If you don't, it will be hard to keep players playing, because no matter how powerful we are, or no matter how maxed our build is, or no matter how much more grinding we do, a new game mode is always refreshing in every way possible. And the rewards we get for completing these game modes reward us with gear we use in-game, so why is this completely left out over a year after launch? And we have to go back to the Division 1 to get this experience. As an agent who has played over 3,000 or more hours of this game, I should always be running Heroic. And this is almost entirely based off of the loot system and not wanting the game to be too easy, but not so difficult or time constraining either. If I drop the game to hard, I love it. I can really start to enjoy the game. The NPCs are not so difficult with their mechanics, there are much less of them, and the elites are less in quantity. But the loot system punishes me for this badly. Anyone in the comments section below, please let me know if you run hard mode and can get anything at all to drop that will increase your build, or get a higher stat roll or god roll to drop rather than what you would get in heroic or higher. For legendary difficulty, I have almost 0 issues. With a well-coordinated team, I can really enjoy playing a legendary difficulty mission. I love falling back and letting the enemies try to rush us in the previous stage of the level, and just using shock traps to stop them from getting too close, then taking them out NPC to NPC slowly. This part of the game basically does not need to be touched. My only issue with Legendary is that all missions should have a Legendary mode. I understand DCD headquarters would be the easiest Legendary to beat at that point, but so what? It is a much shorter mission, so the Legendary part of it would still be much shorter than, say, Roosevelt Island or the other strongholds, but why gatekeep us from having more fun? They said if we wanted more legendaries in the future, they would implement it. But I still only see strongholds having this difficulty option, and that's not good. We need more legendary missions. The content is starting to become boring. This is affected big time by how the NPCs work, and this is being fixed, so that is good. But we still need new content. But I am fine waiting for new content while they balance and fix this game as much as possible, but they should have had a PTS and an ETF to start with before Warlords of New York came out. This would have solved almost all of our issues if they cannot get the game to be released or patches to be released properly. And the quality assurance people at Massive need fired, since there seems to be none every time a patch is released. I have never ever in the entire franchise time of the Division seen so many maintenances to hotfix glitches and exploits and things not working properly, and to fix the server issue, like the DZ dropping your frame rate so badly that you just end up leaving. It becomes impossible to PvP or PE in these conditions. We need the new raid as soon as possible, which I assume is coming around to 10 or 11. If not, this game is going to be in even more serious trouble. I love to PvP and go into the dark zone. Many subscribers might not know this about me because I hardly have gameplay footage of it in the background or even talk about it, but that is not because I hate the DZ or do not like to PvP. I don't like to PvP in this game, and would if they would just fix it already. Back when the Division 1's PvP was doing poorly, they had Red Storm do an entire revamp of PvP. and this worked from my memory. They even extended the DZ to DZ06 to DZ09 zones, and made more areas like the smaller DZs we have in Division 2, since most of the Dark Zone in Division 1 was very open and wide and big. And this was great, since the PvPers usually would stick to the DZ01 to 03 areas, and the farmers would use the rest of the Dark Zone to farm landmarks and everything else. This is now impossible in the Division 2. We cannot do anything like this because the 3 Dark Zones we have right now are simply too small. The Dark Zone needs to be expanded first and foremost. PvE and PvP reworks and balancing need to stick to their respective places. We never need a nerf to a weapon or gear piece or a game mechanic for PvE and PvP. Only or one or the other. Fix PvP by expanding the map, making several new Dark Zones, or in my opinion, just extend the 3 Dark Zone maps to where they are, much larger, and the PvP would feel much better. Otherwise, there are many other PvP problems to fix, but this is a huge one. The Dark Zone is a staple in the Division franchise and cannot go away and cannot be PvE only. So in conclusion, this game is getting boring and fast. Agents are getting burnt out, and with all the new games that have already come out and are coming out, this game is headed to the grave if they do not fix it soon. Even I went over to Destiny 2 for a few weeks, but there really is no other game like this on the market. And third-person cover-based looter-shooter based on a real-world area and realistic weapons, gear, and abilities and tech is not something another game has at the moment that I know of. So they have that in their pocket and always know that. But irregardless, this game is getting too boring for too many players right now. I am excited to see Title Update 9.1 and 10, and I do believe this will fix many of the balancing issues we are facing right now. But the loot system and NPC difficulty and heroic or higher is out of control and needs fixed already. Alright agents, I hope you enjoyed my weekly State of the Game discussion. If you would, please hit that subscribe and like button, as it greatly helps my channel and helps me greatly to create more and more content for you guys. Most viewers of my channel, about 92%, are not subscribed. Please take the time to click the red subscribe button below, and if you're looking for daily targeted loot and what to farm for videos, I upload daily. So you would also want to turn on all bell notifications for my channel if you would rather watch and see the targeted loot map every day instead of logging in yourself. Sit comfortably on your couch or chair and watch my daily targeted loot videos and know what you want to farm for that day, or know not to even log in at all. Otherwise, thank you for watching another Shadow Gaming production, where you can get daily videos of dedicated Division 2 content. Alright agents, Agent Shadow signing off.